Okay, so I'm watching this, excuse me, I'm still getting over this cold I got. I hope it wasn't COVID. Like I stated in my previous videos. Hold on one second. Ooh, excuse me. We'll think about editing that out. Okay, so I was watching this show. I turned to a different channel. And normally I skip over this channel because it's called True, whatever it's called. It'll show in a minute. But I don't watch all that crime stuff and all that crazy stuff because when I was little, the person that my parent married, he worked in correctional office type stuff, and he was a bully towards me. He was a pedophile, and he excuse me, did a lot of things to hurt me. So I just grew up not wanting to watch law enforcement type things and whatever. And I would strongly suggest against that. Like, I realize certain people are not into rough stuff. I'm one of them. I don't like rough things. I'm not into that. Yet you have to be aware of your surroundings and aware of what's going on with you. So I'm watching this channel. It's called, you'll see in a second at the bottom. But basically, there's a young lady, and she was, I guess she just got proposed to. And she was calling her father. She was on a video call with her father. And she was basically just asking her father if he would give her permission. Oh, there it is, True Real. It's called True Real. So he was asking, she was asking her father, and her mother was sitting there, I guess her fiance, that's the young lady right there. She's very beautiful. And that's her fiance. And her mother was sitting at the table. It went to a commercial break, so we're back off of it. But basically, while her mother and her fiance were at the restaurant, the young lady called her father, and she asked her father if he would be okay with walking her down the aisle during her wedding. And he was kind of hesitant, and I understand why, because in this world, you don't know who is who. You don't know what type of man or man, boy, or whoever is trying to marry into your family. And especially in community of color, we have to watch who we allow to date us and who we date, because there's a lot of violence that goes on, especially with the young ladies coming up in this new generation. The men that are unfortunately in just really sad situation that are killing them are their quote unquote boyfriends, but these are not boyfriends. These are demons disguised, narcissistic demons that are disguised to try to lure these young ladies into a trap. And then when the girls want to leave, he don't want them to leave, so he murders them, and that's not good. So basically, the young lady asked her father. She said, "Daddy, will you walk me down the aisle when I get married?" And he was very hesitant, and I totally agree, and I understand why. Mind you, he might change his mind. But she started tearing up, and at that moment when she started tearing up, it just brought something into me too. I don't want to cry about this. I don't want to cry about this because I'm still not over it, and it's still fresh to me. It happened during the pandemic. It happened in 2020 when I got sick from coronavirus the first time. And when I got sick that day, actually before I got sick, the last time I saw my uncle was early in the morning. I went to go pick up my auntie, his wife, from the airport because she went on one of her girl trips or something. And he called me, he asked me, he said, "Will you pick up your auntie?" I said, "Sure." So I picked her up early in the morning. It must have been 5, 6 in the morning. I picked her up. I took her to her home where my uncle is. And he hugged me and he gave me a kiss. Now, this uncle that I'm talking about, he helped me to walk. He taught me how to walk, him and my auntie. They taught me how to walk when I was a baby. So every time I see him, I feel the love of father. Like, he's like my father figure. He's always loved me. Me and my uncle went through, I'm going to get to the story, but I just want to put some context into this. Before all this happened in 2020, maybe like 3 years prior, or maybe even 4, I don't know. I was exploited on TV. And y'all want to talk about Zeus? I don't watch Zeus. I don't even know what that is. The only reason I know what Zeus is because of what's going on with all the drama and the fighting, which is so crazy. And now they're suing people because of the viciousness and the fights. And I'm like, yeah, right on. Sue their asses, because nobody should be putting their hands on you. But unfortunately, when I was younger, I was coerced into going on television. The producers called me for one situation, and it said the storyline is supposed to be this way, whatever. So me being young and me being like inexperienced with life, and I didn't even watch the show. It's a famous show, but I don't watch that type of crap. But now afterwards, I know it's crap. That's the young lady right there dancing her wedding gown. She's so beautiful. But might be her auntie too. But back to the story. So they called me out there, totally changed up the script. Flew me out there, tried to wine and dine me, and then the day of the filming, everything changed. And they did that to catch us off guard. And the person I called to come out there with me, he started on the show with me. But they tried to make us enemies towards each other, but he was not my enemy. He was actually my ex-boyfriend. And we had stopped talking. So by that time, he had a fiance. He was with his fiance. And the storyline was go with her coming out there. But she ended up saying she didn't want to go. Because she was older than me. So she realized what was up. I didn't. So we got on the show. And basically, the producers of that show made a fool of me. And I got physically attacked on the stage. This way before Zeus. Way before Love and Hip Hop. Way before all that stuff. I got attacked on the stage. So my uncle seeing that on television, it really broke his heart. And this ties into the story what I'm talking about with the young lady and her father. My uncle, I didn't talk to him about the situation. After I did the taping, I was upset about it, but I mean, I knew it wasn't real, so I didn't get offended by it, but I didn't realize the consequences of everybody else who knew me thinking that that was my situation, and it wasn't. So my uncle, he was one of them, and it broke his heart. It really hurt my uncle. And because of it, we didn't talk for 2 years. I didn't talk to my uncle for 2 years. And fast forward to present day, I lost out on 2 years. 2 years of not talking to my uncle over people and their greed and trying to exploit me. Mind you, I should have sued them for what happened to me because I was injured, I was hurt. And I'm thinking now that my uncle's gone, I can't get those 2 years back. So after 2 years, we started talking again. I've always had a relationship with my uncle where we talked about everything. And that's why he was asking me to go pick up my auntie, his wife, from her flight that morning when I got sick from COVID. Because my uncle would talk to me about his marital situation, but it was not ever talking about her in a disrespectful way. My uncle loved her. My uncle, like I said in my previous videos, he had his challenges as a young man. And when I was born, I didn't know about those challenges. I didn't know anything about that. I just one day, maybe been 6 years old, my family said that he needed our support. And I know I love my uncle, so, you know, once we started going to visit him at his meetings and helping him to know that he's loved, it put that desire in me to make sure I always stand up for him. And my uncle was so respectful to me. Like I said, he's a father figure to me. He did not ever, not 1 second ever let me see that side of him. If I had not been told about him being in a counseling, we call it counseling type situation, I would not ever have known that about my uncle because he respected me just that much. So, talk about respect. So once he was disappointed in what happened to me, and I didn't even tell him the story about it. I just let it go because I was already hurt about the situation. And then the fact that my uncle was hurt about the situation, I just couldn't talk to him. But mind you, me and my uncle talk all the time. We would talk all the time. I would go over to his house, especially once he started not feeling good. It wasn't COVID related, but he just, you know, he was a hard worker, and he really overworked his body to the point of becoming detrimental to his health. So I would go sit with him. He would cook. He would get up and drive. We would go places. He buy my food for me. And he was so proud of me. This is after the fact of what we went through. This 2 years after those, or after those 2 years of us not talking, we grew back close again. And he adored me, and I adored my uncle. I really love that man. He's like one of the only men I love other than my male cousins and my daddy and my pastor Willie. My pastor, he was very protective over me. But my uncle, he was just the one that I just really adore. And maybe it's because he taught me how to walk. And ever since he taught me how to walk, I've always had that bond with him. So I would go sit. We would talk all day. Go to his house. We would talk all day. We would play games. We would play card games. Now, he didn't like the card games because he said one of the games we would play was called BS. And they didn't teach us that. It was something that children started to learn how to play. But one of the last time I saw my uncle, he said he don't like that game. And I kind of got what he was saying, why he didn't like it. But at the same time, I didn't understand it until I got time to sit to myself and think about what he was saying. He don't like the game BS because it's about lying to win and bluffing. And I appreciate my uncle for saying that to me, because he wasn't trying to appease me wanting to play the game with him. He was giving me fatherly knowledge. And to this day, I thank my father. I thank my Uncle Daddy. I call him Uncle Daddy. I thank him for teaching me that every game is not a fun game and every game is not a good game. So we would sit there, we would talk. He would cook for me. Other days I'd come and see him. We would go out to eat. Speaking of his stepson, so. And I was out there working, like I said, I was out there driving. My brakes got really bad. And anybody who go out there driving for a profession know that you don't make much money. So I was always having to get my tires changed from flats, from nails and different things. But it came to my brakes one day, and I didn't have the money to get my brakes replaced. I had money to buy them, but I didn't have money to replace them. So what my uncle did was he got a stepson to my cousin man, my older cousin man. He got him to change my brakes for me. He told me to bring my car over. And I'm so grateful to my cousin man. We don't get to talk as much because of the pandemic, but I really thank God for him. He changed my brakes for me. He is so talented. But he changed my brakes. And while he was changing my brakes, I went inside and saw one of his babies. I call her my niece. He's my cousin, but I call her my niece. And I got her, and she was so beautiful. Brand new baby. I picked her up, and I just looked at her. My uncle sitting there next to me. We both just smiling and laughing. And I had her in my arms, and they said she was hungry. I said, well, give me that bottle. So I gave her the bottle, and she had the sweetest little look. She just looked up at me, and she was eating her bottle, and she just felt so at home, and I felt so at home. That's the type of bond I had with my family and my uncle. So after man got finished doing my brakes, me and my uncle got in my car, went back to his house, and we just spent the rest of the day together. That's the type of stuff I had going on with my uncle. So Uh, this pandemic has done so much damage to people's lives. Oh, God. I'm saying this story to talk about the girl crying about her father and wondering if he would approve of her fiance and wondering if her father would walk her down the aisle. And she cried about it. And I understand it. I really do. I get it. Because a lot of men don't understand. A lot of men don't understand the type of energy they have over their children, over their daughters, over their sons. So when they don't approve of the things we do, it does make us cry because there are protectors. And we just want to make them happy. We don't want to do things to make them sad. So that situation that I was in, I wasn't trying to hurt my uncle. But I understand why he was disappointed because honestly, I know he wasn't disappointed in me because he knows who I am. I think it just really hurt his feelings seeing me being attacked on TV. That hurt him because he see me as a baby. He always said to me, "You my baby." He said, "You our baby. You belong to us. No matter what, you my baby." So him seeing me on that TV show really hurt him. And I lost 2 years of life with him. So like I said, me and my uncle got back together after those 2 years. And we hung out, played games. Anything I needed, he was there. He would always try to give me money. He was known for doing that. He would come over to my grand's house. And he would spend time with us. Grand's in there cooking. She cook us something to eat on. And he would just come over and he'd give us both money. I'm not going to be able to finish this video because I'm not feeling good right now. I'm going to make a long story short. And then maybe once I'm feeling better, maybe one day I'll come back and tell more of the story. But a lot of men don't know the power they have over their youngins and the ones that they have to watch over. Because especially in our community, we don't have the luxury of seeing our men grow into old age. A lot of our men die young. So I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get off of here, but aside from that, men not knowing how much of an influence they have on us. So the last time I saw my uncle, it was 3 months after I got sick from coronavirus. Like I stayed in the house for 4 months because I was sick. I stopped driving. I didn't work. I did none of that. I let it go because I was so sick. I felt like I was gonna die. So fast forward to 4 months later. I found out that my uncle wasn't doing too good. He wasn't feeling too good. And my family, they're the type of people, they don't like me being upset because you see, I cry about everything. I try not to cry about stuff, but I can't help it. So they didn't want to tell me what's going on with them. But they said something wasn't going on. I immediately just started bawling because the coronavirus is out there and I knew it wasn't good. So about half a month after they told me that he wasn't doing good, they came to me and said that they don't think he's gonna make it. So my mommy took me over to my uncle's house. I don't want to talk about the scene. I don't want to talk about how it was set up because some things that were there that I did not like. but I knew I had to see my uncle. So I walked into the house. I greeted my auntie. She was in there with her friends. Me and my mommy went into his bedroom. I'm not going to talk about the experience because I know I didn't go to his funeral because I didn't ever want to see my uncle lying in a casket. I want to remember him as I remember him, being alive, being happy, being a good man. So the last time I saw him, he was laying in bed. He was struggling to breathe. Mind you, his wife is a nurse. He actually met his wife when he was in the program that I talked about. He met her through the program, and they had a very long marriage. So he was in there laying on the bed. He wasn't alert. It was like he was out of consciousness, but he was there. He was breathing, trying to breathe, struggling to breathe. And he was moaning. And I sat down next to him and I said, I love you. I love you. And he just started to calm down. And I talked to him. I said, I know we haven't been able to see each other in a couple of months, but you know I love you. And one of the things we were going to do before he passed away, we were going to play a game of Monopoly because he wanted to play Monopoly. So I had promised him, I said, we're going to play Monopoly before he got sick. I promised him that. But the day I seen him, I thought about that, and I just kept telling him how much I love him. And I put my hand over his heart. And I just massaged his chest and his heart. And I kissed his forehead. I kept kissing his forehead. And I told him I said, your baby sister here with you, which is my mommy. Because he's the oldest out of all four of them. So I said, your baby sister here with you. Me and my mommy started laughing. I said, we love you. We love you. And he just was real calm. My uncle was so calm. We stayed there for about an hour, and then after I left, I started feeling sick again because I knew he was suffering from COVID. So I hadn't been totally healed. But being around him, not blaming him for this, not his fault because COVID didn't start with us. But that's why I decided also not to go to anyone's funeral, because after that day I saw him, the next day I started feeling sicker again. But the very next day, I went and saw him the evening before, around 4 o'clock in the evening. The very next day, he passed away. And I felt like my uncle was trying to hold on to make sure that all of his loved ones seen him, and he was not going to give up until I came and saw him. As I said, even if he wasn't alert, I know he was there. Last time I seen him, he was there. He was waiting on me. For as long as he was suffering, my uncle waited on me to see him. And then he died the next day. That's the type of bond we had. And that's the type of bond we'll always have. So when I say to you fellas, know what type of ability you have over people's emotions. Know that you are loved by those that love you. Because we love you. I didn't ever dream of a day that I would disappoint my uncle. But when we started talking after those 2 years, he told me he wasn't disappointed in me. He was just upset, like I said, about how I was treated on television. But yeah, my uncle, he held out till the very last second so I could see him. About the same time, the next day, he passed away. He was waiting on that promise for me to come back to him. So I didn't go to the funeral. I didn't do that. But right before I left my hometown, my home state, Mommy took me to the funeral. She took me to the cemetery where one of my older cousins, he died years before in jail. He was in pain in jail and they ignored him. They watched him die in jail. So my uncle was buried not directly next to my cousin. There's my uncle. Sorry, there's my cousin. And there's a little infant baby that died in the 70s, but they died as a child. And then there's my uncle. So between my cousin and my uncle is the infant baby. And so when I went to the cemetery and I just laid on the ground and I hugged the ground and I just cried. I cried. And I just laid there. I'm not gonna say I felt comfortable, but because I knew that my family was there in the ground, I felt comfortable. I could have laid there for the rest of the evening and I would have been all right. The sun was out. It was a beautiful day. I was there with my mommy. She just stood to the side and she let me bond with my cousin and my uncle. And she bought me some tissue and stuff so I can clean myself up. We stayed there for maybe about an hour, and then I grabbed some personal effects from their grave and we went on about our way. But one thing I can say about my uncle, I love him in life and I love him in death. That's how I feel about family regardless. I love you in life and I will always love you in death. I will always love you. So when I do go back home to my home state, that would be one of the places I will go visit. And I'm going to go lay out there on the grave again with them. Bring them some sentiments and some things and lay on their gravesite. And I'm just going to sit there for as long as I need to. Sit there, lay there, hug the ground, hug them. And I'm just going to tell them about, and they know because they're in heaven. They see what's going on with me. They're watching, so they know. But I just want to tell them about everything that's happened since they passed on. Because people, not only people, but men have that type of influence over their youngins. Men have an eternal bond with their youngins. Good men. I'm not just talking about a man that say he a man. No. I'm talking about actual fathers. We have a bond, eternal bond with our fathers. So when that young lady, I'm watching this show, when she cried about not knowing if her father would walk her down the aisle, I totally understand it. Because our fathers mean that much to us. Our big cousins who are like our brothers, they mean a lot to us. Especially when they're so protective over us. We're just that, excuse me, if not even more protective over them as they are of us. Because they were raised by women that taught them how to love and protect their families. So you younger generations who are going through a lot right now, it's just the culture. It's not who you are. It's just the culture. It's global warming. It's all types of things that are throwing you off. But that love on the inside of you, that's eternal. And once you get back to that love, you will get back to your connections. Love is not over with. It's not going to ever be over with. Love is forever. Just up to you to want to love and be loved, you know? But I'm gonna end it on that. I wasn't expecting to go that far. It's just something how you watch stuff on TV or just see it during the day and you have an epiphany, and it brings up so many emotions, because a lot of these emotions I had to put away because I didn't have time to grieve during the pandemic. I didn't have that luxury. But like days like this, and hopefully further days to come, as we figure our way through the darkness, we'll have that time to finally sit down and cry it out, and to hug each other without spreading coronavirus to each other. But I just want to say that to you fellas, to the fathers and the men out there who don't have children but are the godfathers and the adopted fathers of children. Happy Father's Day. Happy early Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to my cousin. Happy Father's Day to my uncle. And happy Father's Day to my other cousins that are still alive, and my other uncle and other uncles that are still alive. Happy Father's Day. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers who have passed away. Happy Father's Day. We love you.